Okay. The very last thing that I want to do is maybe address this monstrosity here on this side, because this looks so fake and flat. So what we're going to do is, like the mirror is, kind of like do a darker to lighter kind of fade from corner to corner. And what I can use for that is go back to just brown. And, oh, that's a little bit too red. Maybe I didn't use brown. What did I use? A brown that was not quite that red. I used burnt sienna. Yes, here's the burnt sienna. So let's go and do like a dark to light fade from corner to corner. Just to give this piece of furniture a little bit more tonal variation here on the drawers. So it just doesn't look like a cartoon. Same thing here for all of the drawers. So I hope you were following for the most part. You did some of this in class with me, because this is literally hours of work. Like I said, colored pencil is not the first thing you should grab off the shelf if you want to do a project, let's say in another class where you need to create a picture for a report or something, because it's something that if you wanted it to look realistic or you wanted the colors to look bright, it's something that takes a while to build up that intensity of color. It's not something that you can just, put down real fast. It's going to look really light and pastel. So over here, let's do the opposite. Let's do the same thing. You know what? Let's do the same thing. Dark to light. So what we'll do is start from this corner here and then do a dark to light fade over the whole front of this piece of furniture. Don't go over the drawers, because we already did those separately. And just like go around. And then to just do a fade up. Try to make the colors look a little less white and washed out. Okay. And then we're going to have to go back with a dark brown, like a Van Dyke brown. And make some of those darker edges, like underneath the front piece of each of these drawers, a little bit more dark brown. So where is that dark brown? Van Dyke brown, here we go, Van Dyke brown. Let's go from dark to light and do like a little fade thing here across the bottom of each of these, each of the front of these drawers. Remember, this is just like a little angled portion of the front of each of these drawers. And then on the side, let's make it real dark at the top and then do a fade to the lighter brown here. Remember, I said that we were going to revisit things and make things look a little bit more realistic, and that we have only had begun to do the shading. Only begun. So let's go from dark to light here on the side. Make that a little darker, and then that's it. Now this looks a little bit better. I feel like this is too yellowish, so let's go ahead and take some burnt sienna and mix that in with the top here. Oop, mix that in with the top. Looks just too white and pale and sickly. And just make this a little bit darker here for the mirror. Just too much white, too much white. Gotta cover up all that white here with some color. Okay, and then on this edge here, let's go dark to light with the Van Dyke brown, a little bit more contrast. All right, same here. Let's go from dark on the left, and then as we travel across the bottom of that piece of trim, let's just fade to the brown that's already there. Okay, much more realistic, much better. Very, very good. Over here for the purple lilac sheet, let's go over here and just layer some of this gray right over it. Okay, just to create more contrast. Put some of that and press pretty hard for the shadow from the pillow. And do that here as well a little bit. And then just very, very lightly, I want you to put a little shadow right underneath the edge of the pillow, the bottom edge of the pillow, and the edge of the sheet. And you can have that also right here. And it's going to basically create a little shadow and lift the sheet off of the blanket. Put some here. All right. All right, so what we want to do is put a little bit of dark Van Dyke brown just underneath this drawer, so it looks like there's like a little shadow right underneath that drawer, and to make that drawer stand out and be visible. Put a little bit of Van Dyke brown here on this corner. So let's do a dark to light fade across this way. All right, and I'm going to put a little bit more burnt sienna because that looks too yellowish on one side. Mix that in with the Van Dyke brown, warm it up a little bit, and mix that in with the yellow ochre over here. Just does not look right. It looks like there's too many different colors. And it doesn't look like there's shading. It just looks like it has too many different colors for a piece of furniture, which is supposed to be one type of wood. So I need to just adjust that color a little bit. Make it a little bit more warmish, warm brown. Warmish a word? No. Okay. Okay. And you know what? That doily looks kind of too dark. I'm just gonna erase it up just a little bit so it looks a little bit more like a light cream little piece of cloth. There we go. All I did was just kind of erased it up a little bit on either side. And I'm just going to put a little bit darker green. And I'm going to try this Viridian and mix that in with my core shadow that's on the green part of the vase. Make my core shadow more like a color instead of so gray. Okay. Take a little bit of the brown and put a little core shadow on this little brass knob up here and on the right side of that little cylinder, and just color in that little light switch part that's sticking out horizontally. Just color it in. It's too small to shade it and all that stuff. So okay, the next thing that we're going to do, and the very, very last thing that we can do, is if your room just looks way too bright, still lacks the realism, what I'm going to do is just mix a little warm gray and tone down my colors. So I'm going to kind of tone down this blue on my wall. Because like I said, if you're inside of a room indoors, nothing's going to look super brilliant. Everything's going to look a little darker, a little dimmer, and just tone down my colors. And that will make things look, I mean, it's still going to look beautiful. It's still going to look like there's a color there. But it's just going to tone it down so it doesn't look so fake. Okay. Same thing. I'm just going to mix in a little bit of this warm gray on this right side because that's where we started to shade with a little bit of a darker blue right here, and then we faded it as we went across to the left. Okay. And just do your best at pressure control, right? Controlling the pressure on your pencil tip and just mixing in that warm gray. It's just going to just make the blue look a little less bright but more realistic in terms of how it would appear inside of a room. Same thing, just layer it over whatever colors you just want to kind of tone down. Same thing here, you might want to put a little core shadow on this ceiling light, on this kind of like right side here, and then just fade it as you go to the left. But on this little, you know, slightly to the right of center, you might want to use this warm gray to create a core shadow. It's not completely, you know, it's such a small little thing that people might not notice it. But that doesn't matter. You know, and you notice things. This is your art, so that's all that matters. And also me, because I'm grading it. So, right. I'm just gonna put a little bit more of a core shadow right here. Warm that up a little bit. I don't know if I like that. If I like it that warm. Not too crazy about that. I'm gonna just layer it over with the Van Dyke Brown. Okay, better. So bright is not necessarily realistic. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of this like light blue just right here, just very lightly where my highlights are, just to say that that light blue is reflecting in my highlights too, just a little bit. It's going to be barely noticeable, but I know it's there. Okay, so I might make this shadow up here a little bit darker by using a darker warm gray right at the top. Or I'm sorry, it's got to be right at the bottom and then fade to light. I'm sorry. And it's such a small little shadow, really, it's not going to matter. Just make it darker for contrast. That's what I'm saying. And looks so much better now with the contrast. Okay, now let's go over here. Let's just double check. Maybe I'm going to tone down this lampshade here a little bit. Just put like a little bit of warm gray right where the core shadow is. Just over that area. And then just kind of fade it as you go to the right and to the right and to the left. Just kind of tone down your colors. That's what I'm saying. Just tone down your colors. Also this purple here, I'm just going to tone down. We did it to the sheet, so I think I'm going to just kind of tone down the underside of this pillow here and then very quickly fade it up. Tone down the upper part right here and also right here on the inside of the pillow, having it just layered with this warm gray. and also on the stripe here. Just tone everything down a little bit. I'm going to create a little tonal variation overall on this rug. So let's just have it go from like a darker to a lighter color, and just very, very lightly, very, very imperceptible, barely notice it, just over the entire rug from back to front. Have it go just slightly darker to lighter, just give it a little bit more dimension. And it'll also kind of fill in all of these little, more of these little white areas. I can't guarantee every light area. I kind of like this little streak of light there. That looks like that would happen. So I'm going to leave that. So just toning down my color on the rug. Right. If I wanted to make the shadow pop under the bed a little bit more, let's see what I can use here. Maybe I could use a little bit of, I'm going to try to use a black and we'll see what happens. Just a little bit. Just push it a little darker. Okay. Just a little bit. Barely using it. Barely. Okay. Just put it right on the base of the trunk and then very quickly fade it. Okay, turn the paper so it's more comfortable to use the pencils, and then just make it a little darker on this side here, and then quickly fade that out. So I'm using black, which I really don't like to do, but I'm just wondering if what would happen if we push that shading just a little bit more. All right, now with the darker gray, I'm going to use silver gray, which is a little darker than this warm gray. Is it? I don't know, they do look about the same. I'm just going to use the warm gray. I'm going to put a little shadow right underneath the blanket here. A little cast shadow. That's something that I forgot. And that will make the blanket look like it's kind of popping off a little bit off the surface. Make this a little darker in here. And if you need to go in with a little bit more black, just a little bit, just be careful. Just be careful. Make it a little darker right underneath the line. There we go. That's a little strong. Yeah, that's what I don't like about black. It's just so strong. And sometimes it could be a little too cool color, depending on the black. There's also many different types of black. Mars black, lamp black. There's even many different shades of black. You would think black paint is black paint. Black color pencils. What's the difference between one black color to another? There are warmer and cooler black paints as well, and black colors. So right here, I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of black to make that a little darker. All right. All right, that is the end of the tutorial on shading in color pencil. I hope you learned a lot of things. You learned a lot about how different colors act upon each other. I have done now 6 of these, so I'm quite done with this project. I hope you do your one very, very well. And I'll be looking forward to seeing your colored pencil drawings. So, just gonna make this a little gray to white. There we go. See, you can't stop because you always notice something that you can improve upon. So I'm gonna force myself to stop because as an artist, one of the things you have to learn is also to know when to stop. And that is really hard. I can't teach you that. You just kind of have to know yourself and it's just through experience. So I'm gonna stop right there. This is finished, and this is going to be my demo drawing. So let me just write that on here. Have a great one. All right. All right, everybody, have a great day. Which I really don't like to do, but I'm just wondering what would happen if we push that shading just a little bit. Alright, now with the darker gray, I'm going to use silver gray, which is a little darker than warm gray. Okay. I don't know, I think they look about the same. Yeah, I'm just going to use the warm gray. I'm going to put a little shadow